Hey guys, just wanted to give you one last video with this movie poster project, just so you could see some of the final touches that you could put on your project to make it look like a movie poster. Yeah, I have mine set up kind of the way I want it. I'm not too happy with the Barney that's just kind of floating in space there, but I'm just gonna deal with it. I mean, if you wanted to make him look like he's got rocket feet or something like that, maybe I can do that at a later time. But the final touches on this are going to be little things like adding some extra text and stuff to make it actually look like a movie poster. In the Google Drive, I'm putting a Photoshop file for you guys to download. I know you won't be able to open it on your computer, but when you save it to your downloads folder, you can take it and drag it, and all that's on this document right here is going to be words. So I'm going to click and drag it right on top, and I'm going to let go. And now you can see that there is a bunch of words on here, and I'm calling this a title block for a movie poster because a lot of movie posters have this kind of thing. Now, when this comes in, even though it's all text, it comes in as a smart object. So I'm just going to take this and move it down to the bottom here. And if you wanted to, there's a couple things you could do to change the color. Now it looks good on the dark background. I mean, on the dark text looks good on the light background, but it doesn't look good. I'm just trying to zoom in here. I'm sorry, guys. But doesn't look too good when it gets over on top of the image. Okay, it's like it gets lost in here with all this crazy stuff that's going on. Okay, so what I want to do is show you guys a couple options. Number one, you could invert the text. If you hit Command I, it'll invert it to make it the opposite color. So if it came in black and I hit Command I, it is now white. The other thing you could do is I can go to Effects and I could do something like a drop shadow or a stroke to make this pop out from the background a little bit more. And a drop shadow, I'm going to want to boost this all the way up to 100, and I want to keep the distance really close to the text, or else it's just going to make everything way more confusing. So, you could, just add a little bit of a drop shadow behind it. You see how it separates it from the background a little bit, and it keeps it more readable. You could also try putting a stroke on it if you want to. You'd have to put the position to outside on the stroke. But you see this really kind of backfired here. Perhaps with a different color that could work better. Let's just see. Yeah, it's not too bad, but I'm gonna not use that. If you want to change the color of the text, you might run into a little bit of a problem because when it came in, it's not really a text layer. Normally, a text layer would have a T here. This came in as a smart object, and if I rasterize it, I have a problem because it's not text anymore. But what you can do is you can double click right on the little thumbnail, and it'll open up a second document. So if I look at the top of my screen now, it says the basic credit, which was the name of that document. And if you wanted to go into this now and treat it like text, I mean, you could actually go in and edit these things, and you can write, your name in here. I could write, Mr. Miller as an executive producer if I wanted to. Okay, you can do that. I don't expect you to do that because that's kind of just a lot of tedious work. But if you wanted to really do that, you could. But what I could do is I could select all, and I could pick a different color. Maybe go with like a dark red or something like that. And when I click OK, it's now dark red. And if I close out, so now I go, I'm ready to get it back to the other document. I have to close this one. And it didn't work. Why? Okay, so after you choose the color, you have to hit the check mark, and then when I want to go back to the other document, after you hit the check mark, I could hit the little X up here. All right, let's do that again. All right, after you change the color, you have to go up and you have to commit the text by hitting the check mark. All right, if you don't do this, it's not going to apply when it goes back to the other document. To get back to the other document now, I have to close out the basic credit one. So I'm going to hit X on that. It's going to say, hey, do you really want to close this? And you're just going to click OK. And why is it not doing it? After you change the color, you have to hit the check mark up at the top here to confirm that that's what you wanted to do. It commits the text. And then to go back to the other document, because remember we have two open here. We have the smart object and we have our original. This is where things get a little confusing. You're going to have to go to File and you're going to do Save Smart Object. Okay, now when you hit X on this and you're back in here, the text change color. It wasn't what I wanted, but I don't know why. I guess because I inverted it before. Oh, because I inverted it before. It was the opposite color, so I just hit invert again, and now it's back to being red. Actually, looked a lot better when it was inverted, so I'm going to invert it back. Okay, and that's part of the problem with having smart filters is that you can see here this gets crazy. Do you have to do all that stuff? No, because if you had it set when it came in and it was black or white and you didn't add anything and it looked fine, then keep it that way. Okay, if you want to go through all that, you can. So that's one of the things you could do. The other thing I wanted to show you as like a little final touch is I downloaded before the Disney logo. So I'm going to drag that in here now. Now this is going to be its own layer. And it looks like there's a little room underneath Barney's feet. So I'm going to bring this down underneath Barney over here, and we're going to scale this down. A little trick about when things have a background of white, so if you do want to add logos, I would find logos that are either black and white. So what you could do is simply this. I have my Disney logo is on this layer right here. I didn't even make this, I did not even rasterize this object. I'm just going to go to my layer blend mode and change this from normal. I'm going to move this over so you can see everything at once here. I'm going to normal to multiply. And now the white disappears and the only thing that's left there is black. I didn't have to cut it out or anything. So that's a good little trick. So that's kind of what I expect out of this our first like at home project here. If you can get your pictures cut out and you can do some text at the top and you can add some logo and make it look like it's a movie poster, then I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. And now that'd be wonderful. It's a good start for us with doing it this way, and we'll probably do a project. Every 2 weeks or so, we'll have a little project here in Photopea, and just get used to it. And meanwhile, we'll be learning more stuff, doing tutorials with Marty in Photoshop. All right. So I hope it went well, guys. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask them. Just be very specific. You just can't say, I'm lost. You have to be specific with your questions. All right, guys. Have a good one.